When applying for visas, the requirement of number of documents can sometimes make it a daunting task. And there are always set rules for these documents, and a slight mistake and your visa application can get cancelled. And I hope that nobody wants this to happen, right? Hello and welcome to Edutrainex, your best buddy to guide your visa applications. I am Nandini Watts, and today this is a solely dedicated video to tell you about the documents required for an Australia visa application. Watch the video till the end if you want to know about the ones who can certify your documents, as it is one of the most important aspects of the visa application. So every visa type has different requirements, and some are mandatory for certain visas while others are just optional. So it is much easier to apply if you are aware of the list of required documents. So when you apply for a visa for Australia, you will have to submit these documents. First of all, you must hold a valid passport at least 6 months before the expiration date. When applying, submit copies of your passport pages, colored and scanned both. And if you have copies of previous passports, then you have to submit those as well. So then all the visa applicants have to submit an Australia visa application form. The forms are different for each visa type, so select the form that corresponds to your visa. If you are applying online for the visa, then you can find the selection of forms in your email account. If you are applying in person, then you have to download the correct form and fill it in. So your Australian visa application photo has to follow these specific guidelines. So in some cases, you may also need to submit your biometric information along with the visa photo. So keep in mind that the number of pictures required may differ depending on the visa subclass that you are applying for. If you possess a national ID card, then you have to provide a scanned copy of it with the rest of the documents. So sometimes this may not be required depending on the visa type or your country of residence. So please make sure you check with the competent Australian authorities nearest to you. If you have multiple national cards, that is more than one citizenship, then submit the national card of the country where you are currently residing in. Then comes the police certificate. So when you are applying for a visa, you have to provide proof of good character. This means that you have to be completely honest about your criminal activity, and sometimes during your application you have to submit a police certificate as well. This certificate will be used to measure whether you fulfill the character requirements as set out by the Australian Immigration Office at the Department of Home Affairs. Then you may also be asked to submit valid copies of civil documents such as your birth certificate, marriage license, divorce papers, adoption papers if applicable, etc. This also includes certificates in cases where you may have changed your name legally. So when you plan on going to Australia, you have to provide evidence that you can finance your trip on your own, and for that you can include bank statements, pay slips, audited accounts, taxation records, credit card limit, and for evidence of support from family members in the case of student visa and family visa. And in case you are invited by someone they are sponsoring your trip, so you must provide evidence that your sponsor has enough financial means. Next, you should be aware of the fact that your visa application will not be reviewed until the payment has been verified. So you are required to pay through an IMEI account, but if you can't submit the payment through the online service, then you have to contact the Australian Embassy in your country and see if you can submit the payment through their office. So if you want to know about the charges related to different types of visas, then you can visit our website. The link I'll put in the description. Moving ahead, health insurance may not always be a requirement when you travel to Australia. However, the Australian government strongly encourages visitors to purchase private insurance before traveling. So some visa types have specific health insurance guidelines, and along with that, visitors may be required to submit recent health exams or tests, but this will depend on several factors, and Australian officials will let you know about it beforehand. So in case you appoint someone to help you with your visa application, then you have to fill in this form and submit it with that. You have to provide evidence that you can meet the temporary stay condition as stated by your visa type. This means that you are able to prove that once your visa expires, you will leave Australia due to prior engagement in your country, such as your work or family commitments. So you can also use a valid work contract, a letter from your employer, or real estate commitments. So here is the point to note that this requirement is not applicable to long-term visas or continuous work visas. So your visa application must include a travel agenda detailing all of your planned visits, the dates of your visits, the places you plan on visiting, proof of purchase tickets, how long you plan on staying, and like so. So then you will also have to provide evidence for any type of accommodation you have made for your visit when you apply for the visa. Now this will include hotel reservations, rental agreements, private lodging, Airbnb setups, or proof you are going to stay with family or friends in Australia. So further, if you are employed, then you must also attach a letter from your employer stating permission for your travels. So in cases where you are invited by a family member or friend to visit them in Australia, you have to submit a letter of invitation written by your host. So this includes a letter of invitation if you are invited to work, that is work visa. There are specific documents that have to be included in the application for an Australian visa if the applicant is under the age of 18, like a letter of consent from parents or legal guardians, filled in and signed permission form, statutory declaration, undertaking declaration in cases when the minor applicant will be staying with an adult family member, friend in Australia. For students applying for a visa to study in Australia, these documents are required. Confirmation of enrollment, health insurance, school enrollment for dependents, genuine temporary entrant. So if you want to know about the student visa, then you can watch the video. I'll put the link in the description below. In order to obtain a work visa in Australia, you will need to submit the documents like resume, work contract, work itinerary, copy of work license, sponsorship letter. Again, if you want to know in detail about the work visa and its types, you can watch it by clicking on the link below. All of the documents have to be in English. If they are not, you must have them translated by a verified translator, but make sure you provide the original along with the translation. And do not provide original versions of your documents unless you are asked for it specifically. So you can submit scanned, colored or copies of the documents. Only police clearances can be originals. So there are specific rules for the documents you must attach when applying for an Australia visa. Scan each document carefully on both sides. Scanned copies have to be in color if the original is also in color. Attach files up to 5 MB size with the following extensions. Documents containing more than one page have to be in a single PDF file, and the limit for uploading documents can be from 30 to 60 depending on the application. Images have to be sized up to 500 KB. Images have to be scanned on both sides. Compressed and encrypted files will not be accepted. So when you submit a paper application for an Australia visa, your family certificates, that is birth certificate, marriage license, adoption papers, etc. have to be verified, the copies of the originals. Now, talking of verification, next is how can you get your documents verified? Firstly, make copies of your documents, then take both the versions to a person who can verify your documents. Now, the person who verifies your documents has to write or stamp to your documents the following statement. This is a certified true copy of the original as signed by me. If there is more than one page, then the certifier can write a statement on the first page and their initials on every page further. So your verifier has to provide their full name, signature, occupation, phone number, the date of verification, their address, even though that's not obligatory, but still. So your photographs should also be verified on the back of each photo. Your verifier has to write or stamp this and signed by the certifier. So your documents have to be verified by either an Australian citizen or a citizen from your home country. They must not be related to you or in any personal relationship with you. If you want to see the list of persons who can verify the documents, then you can read it in our article. The link I will put in the description below. And please note that if you can, then please keep the copy of your application documents. So that was all about the documents required for an Australia visa application. In case of any queries, you can ask in the comments box. We will be happy to help. Thank you.